welcome to this week's Golf Equipment Q&A. I'm Valerie Melvin, I'm here with Frank Thomas, and we're in the Frankly Frog Putting Studio in Orlando, Florida.
Where it's hot.
Very hot.
Very hot.
Very hot. A lot hotter than St Andrews. Anyhow, we had a question from Richard in West Virginia. Richard's a big fan of Just Hit It, Frank.
Thanks, Richard, for that.
And he wanted to know about why golfers change their putters. He's been watching, obviously Tiger switched putters at the Open, and also KJ Choi switched from, a more regular style of putting to the side saddle method. So, what can we learn from these players and how can we apply it to our game with regards to changing putters?
Richard, that's a very good question. And there are various reasons why people change their putters, specifically the pros. Various reasons, but one of them is they're getting paid to do it. The second is that their putting gone sour and they've got nothing else to blame. Another reason is that they just want to change. But I don't recommend that people change their putters. Once you've got confidence in your putter, stick with it. And you'll notice Tiger, he changed here from his putter that he's been using for years, this type style putter, and he changed it to almost an identical putter, and then changed back. And I don't think it had anything to do with the actual performance of the putter itself, but most of it was up here. Now again, KJ Choi did the sort of similar thing. He was putting very well. He had a little bit oversized grip, but he was putting reasonably well. But now he's changed to a side saddle type putter. And I, from what I understand, he may have changed back already to that. So we see that. On the other hand, other people like Corey Pavin is an example. Corey, has putted with a bullseye blade. This was an extremely popular putter about 50 years ago, and Corey is still playing with it. Now, I don't necessarily recommend that the average golfer do that because he needs a really good putter. But once you've found a good putter, then you've got to stick with it. Now, a good putter generally, and I recommend it, 90% of golfers should be using a mallet-style putter.
Yeah.
Mallet-style putter it's very forgiving, up and down the face and across the face, and also, not only that, but has a low center of gravity and is face balanced. Those are the three things you should be looking for in a putter. And once you've found it, then go out and get a putting lesson.
Yeah.
A putting lesson is so important. Here we teach, right here in the studio, we teach the basic fundamentals of putting, the mechanics, the psychology, and it's extremely important that you understand why you should be putting in a certain manner and your technique. And it's relatively simple. Mm-hmm. And we spend 45% of our time on the putting green, and 40% of our time on the green, and 45% of our scores generated on the green. So we should spend a little more time on the technique. So go ahead and build confidence in your putter, make a good friend of that putter, but make sure it's a good one first, properly fit it, and then go ahead and work on the technique. Exactly.
So much of it's a personal preference, isn't it, with regard to putters and sticking with a putter, and people sometimes just feel like time to get a new one.
Right. Just simply because they're not putting well, they have to get a new putter because that's where they feel like they can buy the game. That's not the case at all. A good putter, then work on your technique.
Very good. Good advice as ever, Frank. Well, that's us for this week, but until next week,
may the frog be with you. Ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
Find your frog at franklyfrog.com.
Ribbit.